Welcome back everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about how to get 1% better at drawing every single day, and I will use these 10 thumbnail sketches that I've done in the background as an example.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Will hopefully improve your artistic skills, provided you actually put it into use and actually put in the hours and practice. The first thing that I do is I try to think about a theme, okay? Some kind of a story, some type of a story that I would like to work with, because I find it helps me actually come up with designs, with better designs. So whether you are drawing characters or environments, whatever your subject matter may be, I find it helps if you could actually come up with even just a quick short story, which will go a long way. It helps you stay on track. Basically, you're not open to do anything and everything when you're sketching, because you're going to be all over the place. But when you actually give yourself a small story to work with, I find your brain gets less exhausted because it knows it has to stay on track with this one particular story that you have in mind. So in my case, I was trying to design worlds, basically hidden worlds, some type of an Aztec world that's been long lost and nobody knows about it. It's just a myth, it's a legend at this point, and some explorer basically makes his or her way through the jungle and eventually discovers this world. So that was basically the backstory that I was working with, and because of that, it helps you to actually stay on track. The next tip is come up with multiple variations, which is why I love to do thumbnails. I don't want to just take one idea, draw it one time, and call it my final sketch, my final design, because I haven't explored my brain. I haven't pushed my brain to actually think of alternatives and possibly come up with a better shot. So it's not guaranteed. So even if you're doing like 10 different designs, it doesn't mean you're going to come up with an incredible design.
Well, come on now, dog.
Maybe the first one was the best idea, but you don't know that until you explore. So my second tip is don't just do one drawing, do at least 5, 10, 15, 20, however many before you're absolutely exhausted, basically. The point of exploring, the point of doing more than one drawing is that you will start getting better ideas. So for instance, like I'm doing 10 designs. It doesn't mean that 7 or 8 of them out of 10 will not be good enough.
What do you mean by that?
When you actually do more than one design of whatever subject matter you are interested in working with, you will actually get better ideas when you do your multiple variations. So with these 10 thumbnails, I might not necessarily like most of the shots, but I might look at, okay, thumbnail 3 has this part that I like, thumbnail 5 has this part that I like. So in my final design, I'm going to take elements from other variations that I did and then apply it to my final design. So basically, when you explore your subject matter and you do multiple variations, your final design will be more confident. So even a lot of the drawings you do fail, that's okay, because you're still getting closer to a design that you could be more proud of, more content with. So that's my tip number 2. The first one was try to come up with a quick story to work with, a quick subject matter, a theme, something for your mind to understand. These are your restrictions. And the second tip is to actually do more than one variation, more than one drawing. Don't just settle for the very first one you draw. The next tip I can give you is don't worry about making it look good. So when you look at mine, I obviously have experience drawing environments. I understand how to plot out my perspective lines. I understand how to balance shapes. I understand midground, foreground, background, how to basically tell a story by using those 3. The reason I'm telling you this is because it's easy to look at what I'm doing and think, okay, well, because I'm not trained like this individual, I'm not going to do these things. Now I have an excuse for not to draw. The point that I'm trying to make is it's your idea that counts. The technical part of being an artist, I mean, that just comes with training. This video isn't so much about breaking down fundamentals and teaching you step by step. I probably will make those videos eventually. Let me know in the comments if that's something you guys are interested in seeing. This is more about idea generation. It's about getting that, 1% better at drawing every single day. So tip number 3 is don't worry about it if it doesn't look good. Don't worry about about it if you don't understand perspective yet, if you don't understand composition yet. Do your best, honestly, just do your best. Try to tell a story, try to have some fun, put the pencil on the paper, make some marks. If you were just a young child, you wouldn't think about how bad your sketches are. You would just draw and you would enjoy the process. You would actually explore your imagination. So that's tip number 3. Just be like a kid. Enjoy the process, come up with your story, try to put it down on paper to the best of your ability, and honestly have fun with it, and then do, more than one variation. So that's tip number 3. Once again, try to tell a story. Everybody can work on that skill. 2, do more than one drawing, and 3, have fun with what you're doing, and don't worry about the fundamentals. Don't worry about it if your sketches or your drawings don't look good. Like I said, you could train that up, but even if you take someone that has been trained up and they're very good at understanding fundamentals and they're very strong technically, but they could still be terrible at coming up with incredible shots, at telling stories. Their ability to come up with creative ideas is still not there. That's very possible. So just because someone is trained up doesn't mean they're automatically incredible at designing. It takes training on its own. So just relax and try to enjoy the process, honestly. Like, try to have fun with it. That's my tip number 3. All right, so now I'm going to take these thumbnails that I've done in the background and break them down for you so that you can actually start seeing how these tips that I've shared with you, how I have applied them. As you can see, I start with putting a rectangle shape down that represents the frame that I want to work with. The second thing I did was just plot out my horizon line, which is the eye level. I'm just gonna quickly remind you that this is not a step-by-step tutorial to draw perspective drawings. I will eventually do those videos if you guys are actually interested, but for now I'm just gonna explain what I did. So going back, I would choose a horizon line. So in this case, I chose a very high one. So we're looking at a high altitude. I would choose 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point. In this case, I've chosen 3 points to work with. And then because, going back to the storytelling, this is an ancient Aztec world that has been discovered. We're viewing it from the jungle and we're high up in the hills. And I started by thinking about geometric shapes, and I'm using reference in the background. The reference isn't one-to-one, like I'm not sitting there copying. Since I know I want to work with subject matter being Aztec world, ancient worlds, let me go get reference for that. And then I would generate different geometric shapes that would hopefully represent the subject matter that I have in mind. And then I would try to balance it with having foreground objects, midground, which is where the storytelling happens, and the background to support the midground storytelling. I also would put characters in my scenes. The reason I do it because it helps tell the scale of this environment. You immediately can tell this is a massive landscape. While I'm at it, I thought about another tip, is that when you're doing, if you're choosing to do thumbnails like I am, you don't have to go crazy detailing the life out of it. I just chose to push it because I want my skills to go up. I want to be able to capture light. I want to be able to design light. I want to be able to understand how to shade my environment. You could definitely do that on the final drawing, whatever it is you're working with. I just chose to take these thumbnails and push them as far as I could until I was just tired of working on it. Basically, it was like, okay, I've invested way too much time into every single one of these. You could work on it, you could do that sometimes, that's fine, but it's good to be able to do them fast. So spending 15-20 minutes on a thumbnail is pretty healthy. It's a good time, like it's a good amount of time invested, but you could go further. You can actually invest, let's say, an hour to 2 per thumbnail. My shapes make sense. Now this picture making that I'm working with actually feels balanced. Okay, well now try to actually think about how it's lit. Is it natural lighting? Is it going to be night with some artificial lighting? Where will all the shadows be located? If you don't understand perspective yet, you could just ignore it. You could ignore the horizon line, you can ignore plotting out the vanishing points, and just go straight into the drawing. The technical part is not as important as your ability to create, your ability to exercise your creative mind. Going back to the point of this video is to help you get better by 1% every single day. And to do that, one problem that will definitely come up for a lot of people is that they will be intimidated when they look at things like this and think, I'm not ready to do these things because I'm not trained up. And I'm trying to get you to understand not to worry about the technical part yet, just create. Trust me, I've struggled with that too in the past. I used to look at people that I would admire and think, I want to do that, but I'm not ready yet. I'm not trained up yet. I don't understand these fundamentals yet. Technically speaking, I'm not there yet. So, and I'm telling you that that's a terrible, terrible limitation we set up for ourselves. So hopefully this video will help you just actually draw regardless of how bad it looks, learn to enjoy the process, and you will see over time when you get better with your technical skills, with your fundamentals, you will see that you still have to exercise your creativity. You still have to sit down and create. You still have to, so it doesn't have to be environments, whatever it is. If you just want to draw random landscapes or characters, or you want to create your own world building, whatever it is you're after, you still have to go through this process if you want the best possible designs, best possible outcomes. You have to learn to explore. You have to learn to exercise your creativity. And it happens basically by sitting down and just making chicken scratches. The start of it at the very least. So with this design, kind of looks like we're at some kind of a treehouse and we are looking down at the lost world. I'm just trying to detail things out. Another tip is using your eraser to help you capture light. I would draw and I would use the eraser to take back. It's basically push-pull. You're adding and you're taking away, you're adding and you're taking away, and you start capturing light. This is another example. In this case, my horizon line, which is the eye line, it's off the page completely so that we are looking down at this massive civilization that has been discovered. At this point, I am very warmed up into my drawings, so the shapes flow better. That's another tip I could share with you, is that the first few drawings you do, they're not gonna look that great.
What's wrong with you, bro? What the heck?
Anything else, you need to warm up into it. So if you're playing a sport, if you're into some type of sport, or you're into going to the gym, it's the same thing. When you start training, you're not warmed up. Then get your blood flowing. It's the same idea when you're drawing, is that your best ideas will start flowing better when you're actually warmed up. So make those marks once again, start making a mess, start drawing. And it's something you're gonna have to do all the time. So just because you had an incredible session drawing doesn't mean the next day when you start drawing, it's gonna be incredible. You have to get into it again. You will have days where you do much better, and you will have days where it's just not gonna be all that good. You're not gonna feel like doing it. It won't feel good. It's not going to flow naturally. So just like anything else, you're not always going to have an incredible day. Trick is to just keep moving forward regardless of how bad the drawings get. It's part of the process. That's what you need to keep in mind. That's what I even need to keep in mind, is that this is all part of the process for becoming better. Get 1% better on a daily basis. So with this civilization, I am telling a story. We are basically on the standing where, I don't know, some type of high castle, or it's just one of these ancient civilization structures, and we're looking down into this hidden world. Those could be thousands of people lined up in front of that temple. This could be a hidden world where people are still functioning. They have their own way of surviving, living, cut off from the rest of the world. I started with one idea, which is to find this hidden world, but you can see that the more you draw, the more you work on it, the more your brain starts to develop the story a lot more. If you can think of just one idea to work with, one theme, you will notice that theme, that story starts to develop. The more you actually invest into your drawings, the more you do different variations, the more it develops. The next one is like a town. You have that Aztec looking pyramid, and you're where a town would be or the city would be, and far into the scenery I always try to balance by adding something like a mountain. Here I'm just going into detailing. That's another tip I could talk about, is if you're stuck with generating shapes. So when you're trying to come up with shapes, it's okay to just distract yourself and say, I'm gonna go ahead and detail something. That's what I'm talking about! your brain just knows what to do with that part. So in my case, it was adding those stones, thinking about different trees surrounding this environment. I naturally went into thinking about how this place is lit. The sun is coming from the top right. Slowly go back into the scene and start figuring out the rest of the shot. So it's not like I have just one way of working, and you're gonna discover the same thing for yourself. The more you draw, the more you will see what works for you. You could go and learn to be a boxer. You're first going to do the drills, you're going to follow the coach's instructions, and then you will find ways that work for you, what works best for you. So that's my tip to you, is that I could talk about all these things, but at the end of the day, the more you do it, the more you will see, okay, you know what, this idea resonates with me more than all the other things. The next one is the same thing. I just started with generating a shape. I didn't want the same old pyramid looking structure, so I changed it up this time. You could see that generic shape. I broke it down in two different parts. The bottom part looks like an Aztec pyramid. The top looks like another version of it, and I combined the two so that I am actually trying to explore different shapes for this storytelling. There you go. Like, this is a perfect example of how you could take your skills and improve upon it 1% a day at a time, which is to do these things and explore and do variations of them. And the last one is the same thing. I chose 3-point perspective, but this time I put the horizon line, which is the eye line, very low, so the camera line very low to the ground. Same thing, I chose to go with a pathway discovering an ancient Aztec, and as you can see, I'm generating shapes that would represent trees and background, which is a massive Aztec temple. And here I just switched my pencil to an ebony jet black so that I could actually start framing the shot. Those are my tips. I hope they have been helpful and useful to you, and I hope I have inspired you to pick up your pencil and make some marks, because that's when you're really going to start learning. That's when you will start exercising your creative brain, your creativity. You will start learning where your weaknesses are, what you need to work on. You will start seeing your bad habits. If you like this video, definitely hit that like button, and if you want to see more content related to what I've been producing, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.